I walked across Death Stranding, but I literally had to walk in the game, so that I could answer the question everyone's been asking: how many steps does it take to walk across this game? All while carrying a real baby. Here's how it works. It's actually much more simple than you might expect. It's literally just a phone app that connects to your computer, and when you put your phone in your pocket and walk, voila, you are walking in video games. Guides on my channel if you want to do this yourself. Alright, let's take it back to how I even set up this challenge. I'd never played this game before, so I first started off with the tutorial area. As you can see, I first started with this mini elliptical. Whenever I'm playing a game like the real way, where I have to walk and stop and do things and turn around, I prefer not using the treadmill, since with my treadmill, the only way to stop moving is to step off the treadmill. There's a way to do this setup where you're just kind of stepping in place instead of using an elliptical, but the elliptical works for this challenge. So I did the entire tutorial of the game just to get a feel for it and figure out how I even wanted to do this. I definitely got confused about where I was supposed to go in the tutorial, and I ended up backtracking and adding like 500 extra steps. So I ended up with about 1,000 steps at the end of the tutorial area. But I guess technically how many steps it would take to cross this map is about 500. Just keep that in mind. Once I finished the tutorial area, I looked it up and realized that there are two main maps in the game. I was more curious about the full distance of the game maps rather than how many steps it takes to actually beat the game by walking, because that would take a lot longer. So I spent some time offline and not while walking on this first map so that I knew a solid path from one side of the map to the other. A couple of days later, I was ready to begin the actual portion of the challenge. If you're familiar with this game, my path for this walk is from Capital Knot City in the northeast to Port Knot City in the southwest. So why am I even doing this in the first place? I recently walked across Red Dead Redemption 2 and previously across Skyrim, and many people in my comments suggested that I do this for Death Stranding. You know, the game that's actually designed as a walking simulator. I'd never played Death Stranding before, and if you hadn't either, it's basically about a guy who delivers stuff from place to place on foot while carrying a baby and drinking Monster Energy, without giving too much away. Well, conveniently, I just had a baby. Well, my wife did. And one of the only ways that I can get this baby to sleep is in this carrier while walking around. And then it hit me. I can do this while playing Death Stranding on my treadmill. I get to be a good dad, I get to exercise, and I still get to play video games. Win, 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 right? So, just like my character, I'm walking. Check. I'm carrying a baby. Check. And, oh yeah, the Monster Energy. Okay, look, so whenever I did this challenge, it was 11:30 at night, and I can't be drinking Monster Energy at 11:30 at night, so I have the next best thing, Limoncello LaCroix. It's basically the same thing. Okay, who am I kidding? This is like the opposite of Monster Energy, but whatever, it's really good, you guys, okay? Well, it's like healthy good. You know what I mean? Kind of like when healthy people say that a protein shake or a protein bar is like good. It's not good by normal standards compared to like real food and sweets, but like as an unsweetened drink, it's good. So basically, it's not good. Do you understand what I'm saying? This game has several ways to traverse steep terrain, like ladders and ropes, or you can just find an alternate, less steep route, which is what I opted for since I'm walking on my treadmill. So my rule was that I had to get from point A to point B without any climbing. I thought about setting up my exercise bike with this setup and like putting it on the highest tension and then hanging some exercise bands to sort of like simulate climbing, but thankfully I was able to find a path that didn't require any climbing because that would have looked ridiculous. And I'm not willing to invest like in one of those ladder climber things just for a YouTube challenge. Maybe someday, but not today. This is not that day. After about 45 minutes and 4,700 steps, I made it to Port Knot City. Thanks for watching. Okay, no, wait, I was just joking. I also walked across the other map, you know, the big one. But first I had to take a bathroom break, and conveniently, whenever you're kind of like teleporting between places in this game, you also take bathroom breaks in the game, so I'm not making any cuts in this video. As you can see, it's totally real, especially since I didn't stream this one, so, you know, I had to prove that I did this in one sitting, or I guess one session of walking, whatever. But come on, I had to be quiet, so I couldn't stream it. But streams will come back soon, I promise. Probably. Alright, finally starting on the next map. For this path, I went from Lake Knot City in the northeast to South Knot City in the south. Before I begin any of these long walks, I usually do some things to make the game less hardcore, so I had to get rid of the looming threat of NPCs, which you may have noticed by now. I haven't run into any hostile enemies. But come on, this is about the fitness, not the fightness. So I used a mod to make it so I was basically invisible to any hostile NPCs, like these bad orange guys or the slimy black goo guys. For this map, I thought it would be much simpler if I had this road already built, so I used another mod to make it quicker to build the roads. But don't worry, I did all of this on the offline version of the game, so I'm not messing up any public servers as some random dude running around the map with like 10 times speed, building the entire highway in like a couple of hours, although I think it would have been kind of funny if somebody witnessed that. Once I had built the road, I still needed to test to see how long this was actually going to take me. Like, was it going to take me 30 minutes to walk across or like 4 hours? Whenever I was testing this out initially, I set my speed to 10 times faster than normal, so I speed ran across the other map and this map, which ended up being a grand total of like 7 minutes. And that's including teleporting to the other map. And of course, since I'm walking on the treadmill, I also had to make my character walk. So I picked a section of the road and ran it at like the super fast 10 times speed and then at normal speed, and I found out that it took me 16 times faster to run it at super fast speed than it did to walk at normal speed. So I estimated that the full walk should take me 7 minutes times 16, which is 112 minutes, or 1 hour and 52 minutes, assuming I take the exact same path, which was perfect. I honestly assumed it would take me way longer. I mean, for a game where walking is the challenge of the game, I thought that the game world would take way longer to walk across. To put it into perspective to the other 2 games that I walked across, it took 2 hours and 45 minutes to walk across Skyrim and 3 hours to walk across Red Dead Redemption 2. So for it to take only like 1 hour per map to walk across for this game is really not that bad. But at the same time, in those games, it's not really the expectation that you literally walk everywhere, especially Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, nobody's actually walking everywhere in that game, unless you're just like allergic to horses or something. And then Skyrim, you have fast travel, although I did beat the entirety of Skyrim's main quest without any fast travel and without any horse, and I still have yet to edit that video, so if you want to see that, be sure to like and subscribe, and maybe I'll actually put forth some effort into actually editing that, because it's like 20 hours of footage that I want to trim down into, you know, a watchable format. And eventually I made it all the way to the end at 9,920 steps. We can kind of just go ahead and say that this took me 10,000 steps, because if you remember in the tutorial, it was an extra like 500 steps for me to walk across that map. So if you think about it, to walk across all the maps in this game, it's about 10,400 steps. And if you're curious about how far that actually is, let's just assume that Norman Reedus is the same height as Sam, and Norman Reedus is 5'10", or 177 centimeters. And since he took a little over 10,000 steps, that comes out to about 4.5 miles for all the distances total, which is about 7.25 kilometers. So 7.25 kilometers, 4.5 miles for the total distance across all maps. You can do the calculations if you want to figure out how long each individual map is. I don't care that much, so we're going to leave it at that, because nobody actually cares at this point. And if you're still watching, then thank you so much. I hope you like and subscribe, and let me know what you want me to do for the next challenge. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Remember to take life one step at a time, or something. Okay, bye!